Hello and welcome to Hermetic Journeys. I'm your host, Tony G. Thank you for tuning in. And if you feel so inspired and loved and cherished, by all means, check out that subscribe button. You'll be doing yourself and the greater causal nexus a wonderful, glorious favor. And me too, I suppose. Today we're going to explore the deeply enigmatic fabric of Emblem XVIII from Atalanta Fugiens, written by Count Michael Meyer, we all know and love, and illustrated by the incredible artist Matthias Marian.
Why, thank you, dear sir.
So let us dispense with the pleasantries and take a look at the emblem. Okay, we have here what appears to be a picture-perfect postcard illustration. The lovely boats and the trees and the cottages and the lake, with this intrusion by 4 burning, glowing orbs. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And that's exactly what's going on. They are globes of fire in the middle of this beautiful image. So what exactly is going on here? Well, as always, we have the illustrious and somewhat coquettish Count Michael Meyer to read the motto and the emblem to us. So if you would please grace us with your marvelous pleasure, Count Michael, and read the motto for us.
I should be absolutely delighted, Tony G. Here it is. A 4-fold fireball controls this work.
Why, thank you, dear Count. And if you would please read the epigram to us as well.
Here we go. You who might imitate the work of nature must look for 4 balls, in which a bright fire is active. Let the undermost have reference to Vulcan, but let the second one show Mercury as well. The 3rd circle spans Luna. The 4th, yours, Apollo, is also called the fire of nature. Let this chain guide your hands in art.
A very critical and important word here is the word chain, and we'll get to that in a moment. So it would appear that each of these globes in the emblem is designated a particular type of fire, and that, of course, is designated to a particular mythological figure. I believe these fires, all 4 of them, are allusions to the fires used in alchemical experiments. And by that I mean the intensity of the fire, or lack of intensity of the fire, right? So I have a theory concerning this that I hope I'm right, and I hope it makes sense to you.
We hope so too!
If you would gently recall the 3rd video we did about 2 years ago, on alchemy. The 3rd video concerned the work with metals or minerals. In the days before our dear friend Steve Kalick arrived on the scene, we referenced this wonderful book, Real Alchemy, written by Robert Allen Bartlett, who's a modern-day alchemist. We used as an example one of the methods from this book to demonstrate how the Philosopher's Stone was created in the alchemical laboratory. Now, this method involved 4 steps in which the gradual increase in heat was used to transform an amalgam of animated mercury and gold in a hermetically sealed flask to create the Philosopher's Stone. Each of the 4 steps brought about 4 phases of the alchemical process: the black phase, the peacock phase, the white phase, and the red phase. I believe these 4 steps are represented by the 4 spheres of fire in Emblem 17. Of course, only the Count knows for sure. However, as you know, we must look past the physical to the metaphysical, because we're working with alchemical philosophy, or Hermetic philosophy, right? So, what about that word chain?
Yeah, what about that word?
Now, here's where the word chain comes in. Now, this book was written much later, 100 years after Count Michael lived, so he wasn't influenced by it. This book was probably influenced by previous alchemical works, as I believe it was. And the book is called The Golden Chain of Homer. And this is one of the most important alchemical works ever written. It was written by Anton Joseph Kirchweger. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's an alchemist who lived in the 1700s, and the book was released in the 1700s. Okay, it is in this text that I think I found the answer to this, or at least a clue as to what's going on here. So how does Kirchweger clarify this enigmatic emblem, right? Well, I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from the Golden Chain of Homer that I think will clarify to a certain degree. Water and earth belong together, as fire and air do. Nay, all four stand in need of each other. And in another quote from the Golden Chain, thus it must be, and this rule of nature cannot be transgressed. Unite heaven or fire with air, air with water, water with earth. Or inversely, unite earth with water, water with air, air with heaven or fire. Then heaven is turned into earth, and earth into heaven. Essentially, alchemists believed that everything is connected in this golden chain, right? So one thing relies upon the other. Air, fire, earth, and water are all connected, and they need one another to become one another, to transform. So you need the lowest to get to the highest, right? For that transformation. And that's what's going on here. In addition to that, it's connected in an endless chain. Okay, so think of it like a bracelet. Okay, you have this chain, those four globes of fire, well, they're connected, top and bottom, like a bracelet. And I think that's what Count Michael intended, because they're not stacked on one another, they're overlapping each other. So it's more like a chain. Make sense? I hope so. I know it's a little abstract, but this is a really important concept in alchemy. It might help to think of this entire thing as the water cycle here on Earth. You know, the evaporation from oceans, lakes, and streams, and the transpiration from plants creates condensation, clouds, and then clouds reach a point where they rain. It rains down in this big cycle, right? You may want to think of it like this, because that's pretty much what it is. It's very similar to that concept, conceptually, that is. So the end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end, and you can't have one without the other. It's the interdependence of nature. Now I get it. Think of the word correspondence, which we've talked about many times in these videos. Correspondence, everything is linked and has connection. Let's take a look at some symbols here, some imagery that will connect with you and connect with what I'm talking about here. The Ouroboros, lovingly depicted in Emblem XIV by Matthias Marian.
Why, thank you, dear sir.
You're quite welcome, Matthias. An endless cycle of dissolving and coagulating, like I mentioned before. Remember the rather deeply disturbing emblem, Emblem 5, where a man was putting a toad to a woman's breast and the woman was dying while the toad was feasting on that energy? Okay? Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah.
Man,
That was
toadstools? I don't like toadstools.
Who are those guys? Anyway, the toad represents the prima materia, okay, and the woman, the natural elements of transformation, okay, occurring, right? So, sort of like the fairy tale of the princess kissing the frog, okay, think of it like that, all right, and he turns into this prince, right? But I think that's an alchemical allegory. And I think we're going to bring somebody on here who will retell that story so we can see the rather interesting clues within the story. So, backed by popular demand, my dad likes them. No, really, a lot of people like it. It's a lot of fun. I'll introduce our dear friend, sort of, the Angry Mummy Candle. Hey, it's good to see you again. Yeah.
The story is actually called The Frog Prince, not The Princess and the Frog. So let's get that straight, Hermetic boy.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was the actual title. I was just kind of talking about it.
You are sorry. Sorry in a very pathetic way, that is.
All right, Angry Mummy Candle. Let's just get on with the story here.
Yes, let's. You can vanish in a pathetic puff of smoke now. I like this story because it's about an annoying frog and a stupid, arrogant, spoiled princess. I don't like the ending, though, because it's a happy ending. You know how I hate happy endings. Anyway, a really spoiled, rotten princess was walking through the forest by the castle she lived in. She was playing with her favorite possession, A golden ball. She would toss this golden ball high into the air as she walked. While walking through the forest, she came upon a beautiful pond and sat down next to it to rest. While she was resting, and because she was so stupid, she tossed the ball so high in the air she couldn't catch it.
Crap!
And it fell into the pond. What an idiot! She looked into the pond and saw that it was very, very deep, so she cried out in an annoying and irritating voice.
Alas, if I could only get my ball again, I would give all my fine clothes and jewels and everything that I have in the world.
Boy, oh boy, was she stupid, because a lowly, annoying frog, who was sitting in the muck and filth of the pond, poked his head out of the water and said,
Princess, why do you weep so bitterly? Ribbit.
Alas, what can you do for me, you nasty frog? My golden ball has fallen into the spring.
I want not your pearls and jewels and fine clothes, but if you will love me, and let me live with you and eat from off your golden plate, and sleep upon your bed, I will bring you your ball again.
So the daft princess, not believing the frog could retrieve the golden ball, said,
Well, if you bring me my ball, I will do as you ask.
So the frog dove down deep into the pond and, lo and behold, retrieved her golden ball with his filthy, slimy mouth and spit it out onto the ground in front of the spoiled brat princess. Instead of thanking the frog, she got all excited and ran back to the castle. The next day, while eating dinner, she heard some strange noises coming up the castle stairs, and then a gentle knock on the door. Soon, a little voice spoke.
Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here.
The princess went to the door and saw the ugly, stinky frog sitting there. She was repulsed and quickly closed the door on her and went back to sit at the table. The king saw that she was upset and asked her what was wrong.
There's a nasty, ugly, stinky frog at the door that lifted my ball for me out of the spring this morning. I told him that he should live with me here, thinking that he could never get the ball out of the spring. But he did. And there he is at the door, and he wants to come in, and I don't want him to come in.
The king realized how horrible his little weasel princess daughter was and said to her,
As you have given your word, you must keep it. So go and let him in.
So the horrible princess opened the door, and in came the slimy, stinky frog and hopped into the chair next to her. He said to her,
Put your plate nearer to me, that I may eat out of it.
This she did, and when he had eaten as much as he could, he said,
Now I am tired. Carry me upstairs and put me into your bed.
Okay, this story is getting weird, even for me. So the frog slept on the princess's pillow in her bed all night. And when the sun came up, he hopped off the bed and out of the castle. The princess woke up and figured that the frog was finally gone from her life for good. Boy, was she wrong. The next 2 days, the same thing happened, and the rotten princess was beside herself with anger. Now here comes the part I hate. The next morning, the frog was gone, but in his place was a handsome prince. He told her that he had been enchanted by a spiteful fairy who had changed him into a frog, and that he had been fated so until some princess should take him out of the pond and let him eat from her plate and sleep upon her bed for 3 nights.
You
Said the prince,
have broken his cruel charm, and now I have nothing to wish for but that you should go with me into my father's kingdom, where I will marry you and love you as long as you live. Yes.
Ugh, so there you have it. What a stupid ending. Couldn't the rotten princess have stepped on the frog or something? Well, why didn't he turn her into a frog? That would be a great ending. I really hate the ending of this story. Well, anyway, back to you, Hermetic boy.
Well, thank you, Angry Mummy Candle, for that lovely rendition of the Frog Prince. Seriously, though, I do believe it is an alchemical tale, or it can be interpreted as interpreted as one. Whether the brothers Grimm knew about alchemy or not, I don't know. And perhaps it's just, in general, a tale about, raising of consciousness, right? Coming from the lowest frog to this handsome prince, right? But I think it's alchemical. It can be used as an alchemical allegory because there's a golden ball which falls into a kind of a pond, right? Now, in many alchemical texts, water is sometimes referred to as an allegory for mercury, okay, philosophical water. So there's the gold and the mercury, and out of this pond comes this frog, okay, the prima materia perhaps, right? And then he turns into this prince, right? Kind of a cool story in any case. I hope you enjoyed it. In fact, Count Michael's definitely into the toads and the frogs as a symbol, all right? Because in his coat of arms, it depicts this very thing, an eagle chained to a toad. And we see it more clearly illustrated, very clearly illustrated in this image from the Symbols of the Golden Table of the 12 Nations, another work by Michael Meyer, Count Michael. Okay, we see it right here. So there's an eagle chained to a toad. And another wonderful image by Matthias Marian.
Why, thank you, dear sir.
You're quite welcome, Matthias. We see a man and a woman, each chained to the cosmos by a golden chain, right? So the same concept applies here. Ultimately, from this classic alchemical text by Anton Joseph Kirchweger, nature transforms one element into another. This is what was believed at the time, from earth to water to air to fire. It is a sequence, okay? Of course, we all know, right, that this was all about the raising of consciousness. And I said it a million times, right? The turning of lead into gold was a metaphor, right? For going from lower consciousness to higher consciousness, the toad to the eagle.
Oh, so that's it.
Oh, I get it now. I get it. It makes perfect sense.
Who are those guys? Right. So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it made sense, because I know this is pretty esoteric stuff. Thank you for watching.